This is Brian Orender, President of Charitable Advisors and publisher of the Not-for-Profit News. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Frontline Perspectives podcast. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Bill Stanczykiewicz, the director of the Fundraising School at the IU Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, where they provide evidence-based fundraising training all around the world. Bill just shared with me that he recently provided a 4 a.m. class to some students on the other side of the world. So you can call him anytime, it would seem. So Bill, what I've asked you to kind of prepare for us, I know you've got so much wisdom from your experience and those individuals around you, those experts around you. Could you kind of share with us 3 recommendations that you have for 2021?
Well, first of all, Brian, thank you for the invitation. And the Fundraising School continues to be so fortunate to partner alongside charitable advisors. Your resources are amongst the best in the nation, and we train across the United States and rarely see a resource as highly valuable as yours. From your expertise and the team that you've put together and the e-newsletter that you provide and all of the other many resources, we're so fortunate to have you here in the state of Indiana serving the philanthropic sector. When you invite the 3 ideas for 2021, the first one is I would really recommend fundraisers look at the year 2021 as 2 different years. And of course, we had 2 different years in 2020. The first year ran in January and February, and the second year ran from March through the rest of the calendar year. And of course, nonprofits immediately had to adapt and overcome the best that they could. 2021 could be very similar with maybe some different timeframes. And this is all based on vaccines and how many people are willing to be vaccinated and how soon. National experts are saying that by the summer, anyone in the United States who wants a vaccine is going to be able to have a vaccine. If that prediction holds true, then the first 6 months of 2021 are likely going to look very different than the second 6 months of 2021. Meaning in the first 6 months, we'll pretty much have life very similar to what we saw in the final 10 months of the year 2020. But in the second 6 months, are more of us going to be allowed to go to the ball game at the same time? Are the theaters going to be able to reopen? Are we going to be more comfortable being in person at school all the time? And therefore then, what does that mean for fundraising? Are donors going to be more willing to meet with us in person and not just outside if the weather's warm at our favorite coffee shop? Are we going to be able to get back to in-person special events on a larger scale? All of these different possibilities could be holding true, depending, again, what we see with the vaccines moving forward. We could have 2 years instead of 1 in 2021. Second, is to understand that digital technology never goes backwards. People are not saying, hey, can you get me a CD for my favorite artist? Hey, can you lend me that cassette for my cassette player? No. Digital technology always moves forward. And there was an interesting story in the business press that talked about retail shopping, and that changes that were expected to take 10 years in terms of retail online shopping instantly happened in about 3 months in the year 2020 because of the pandemic. And of course, you and veteran fundraisers know something similar has happened with fundraising. Changes that we thought were going to take years and years with online fundraising, they're now here. And the advice is they are here to stay. So, you could either treat the pandemic as an era or as an event. And if you plan for the pandemic as an event, and it really was an era, you're not going to be prepared for the opportunities that are going to present themselves. If you prepare for the pandemic as an era, then you know that digital fundraising is here to stay. Will it be the exact same as 2020? No, because as I stated, we'll have more in-person opportunities to fundraise. But there will still be donors who say, you know what, I really don't want you over at the house right now, for that personal visit. It's still fine. Let's just meet over Zoom. Or, think of somebody who's very busy with their home life, their family life, and they say, I really don't want to leave work early, rush home and get my significant other, my spouse, make sure the kids are fine, rush to the fundraiser and still have to be at work the next day. Leave that little snack for me on my front porch, and our family will enjoy the fundraiser from our living room, even if COVID is over. And yet there'll be others who can't wait to get to the in-person online fundraising event. So again, we need to be thinking about in terms of hybrid as this relates to technology, because technology never goes backwards. And the biggest takeaway, Brian, I've been hearing about technology and fundraising is the more personal, the better. Don't just do a broadcast, announcement on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. The more that you can contact each donor personally with their name, with a story that relates to their particular interest about their nonprofit, that high personal touch that people are receiving on the consumer side with their shopping, they're really appreciating on the donor side with their charitable giving. And that's kind of the next generation that fundraisers need to have, since technology never goes backwards. The third piece of advice is stewardship. Now, as you know, stewardship is always important. And what is stewardship? Stewardship is staying in touch with our donors in ways that don't always involve asking them for a gift, maintaining that communication, staying in touch in many, many different ways. But Brian, so many nonprofits have had so many new donors during 2020, and we need to make sure we're staying in touch with these people so that their giving was not just a one-time event, but they now stay with us as lifelong donors. And also the research shows that when the economy is difficult, we have our best success fundraising with our existing donors. Finding new donors can be a challenge when the economy is rough, but our existing donors are our best chance to stay vibrant and stay healthy as much as we possibly can during an economic downturn. So stewardship has gained even greater importance now more than ever before. So 3 words of advice: 2021 is probably 2 years, not one. Digital technology never goes backwards. Be ready for a hybrid approach if and when the pandemic comes to an end. And third, stewardship is more important than ever before.
Very good. That's terrific. So I appreciate your pulling those together, even summarizing there at the end. What can you tell us about how the Fundraising School has continued your work and success this year? This had to be a tough time to kind of adapt, as well, as you had 2 years this year.
Well, Brian, I'm a big fan of contingency planning, that you actually gather the information that you have and try to lay out several possible scenarios and plan for each scenario. And each plan is provisional, meaning you can make changes as new information comes from one day to the next, 1 week, 1 month to the next. And so when the pandemic hit at the Fundraising School, we basically said, we're going to keep our vision and our mission, and we're throwing out everything else. And if we were going to invent the Fundraising School in March of 2020 with a blank sheet of paper, a blank screen on the computer, what would that look like? And we basically started over. And so, like a lot of folks, we enhanced our online presence. Our courses are now available online, both in a recorded form, and some of the courses are available in a live virtual form, so you can interact directly with the instructor and the other participants. We added a once per month Fridays with the Fundraising School, which basically is a chance for fundraisers just to get together and ask their questions and commiserate. And even when the pandemic abates, we expect to continue that, because it's just the fundraising community coming together just to hang out for a while and share notes. Of course, we enhanced our podcasts and made them very specifically tailored to the pandemic. When safety standards and health policies allowed, we started to come back in person in a very limited basis. That happened in August and is continuing now. And then most of all, we created courses specifically on how to fundraise during the world pandemic, during issues associated with the wonderful increased awareness around racial justice issues, the so-called twindemic. And we created the Current Affairs Fundraising Series. We ran one in the summer of 2020. We also created one for the first quarter of 2021. And that is with new curriculum tailored specifically for this moment in world history. So again, you scenario plan based on the best information that you have. You make provisional decisions that can be changed as new information becomes available. And it's our attempt for the Fundraising School to be everyone's career-long colleague, that we can be a resource wherever anybody is in their personal professional development and the fundraising success of their particular nonprofit organization.
Good, super. I every time I speak with you, I learn more about the work of the Fundraising School and just how comprehensive your offerings are, and just continue to grow. So we'll kind of wrap things up here. Our guest has been Bill Stanczykiewicz from the IU Lilly Family School of Philanthropy, the director of Fundraising School. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Brian. Have a great 2021.